Let's do it. Alrighty, here we go. My name is Marty Fox from WHITEFOX. Now, here's the deal.
Welcome to another episode of With the Fox. Shura Taft with you, and I'm with the Fox. And I'm with a man who could be the most elusive man in Australia at the moment. Hard to pin him down. He's so busy. It's been
a long time since we actually just sat down with us two.
I know, and just chatted. And more than enough to go through. But first and foremost, just checking in with you. How are you? Because, of course, last year was a huge roller coaster, amazing. This year coming in, exciting. But, you know, you've always got, there's a little bit of health going on. You've got your family. But I feel like right now is an interesting moment for you. It's a good moment.
It is a good moment. And I've actually just come from across the road with Rationale, who we had on the pod. Chamonix. And I've just had
you finally banked it.
I've had a facial, I've had a head massage. They've done all these things. They've washed my face, and you know it's
Was it amazing?
I know why they're so successful now. Yeah. It's very scientific.
Yep.
The products are unbelievable. I'm very relaxed.
You do look relaxed.
I could easily
look a bit stoned.
I actually feel stoned. Yeah. That's how good it was. Yeah. But yeah, I feel good.
Good.
I'm ready for a chat.
Yes.
And as you said, it's been a massive period.
Yes.
Last year was the first year that we went interstate. And that's a really strange concept to wrap our head around.
Yeah.
To think that, you know, in January we opened up Perth.
Yes.
And now we're in Gold Coast, in Adelaide.
Well,
WA.
we started this podcast, a month or two after that, and it was like talking to you about what it was like to take this brand. We'd obviously done internationally with New Zealand, but across Australia. But since that point, to do Adelaide, to do Gold Coast, to do Brisbane, to now do Christchurch, like the growth's been exponential. And I'm sure you're getting lots of questions about that. I wanted to talk about the growth a bit later, but you know, that's got to be something that people are coming at you going, hey, mate, big growth, short amount of time.
Yeah,
what's going on?
It's very confusing for an outsider to look in and figure out how it's all happening, particularly with the added layer of 3 little kids, you know, a growing team, over 100 staff now.
The block.
And filming the block. Like, I mean, the commitments of the block, you know, people ask, what is it like being on the block? And the commitment is that you have to be on.
Yeah.
So I think that when you're filming, and anyone that's watching this that is on TV or that does build a lot of content, you really do have to be on. Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that you dedicate. Well, I dedicate 3 solid months to trying to be as healthy as possible, both internally and externally. So you got to look good, you got to feel good in order to produce the good content. So I quite like the intensity of filming. And I also really like the intensity of the days when I am filming, because you're actually off the phone. And I've mentioned this, I think, in the past too, that I find it quite cathartic. So when most people might get quite nervous or anxious, when I'm filming the block, I'm actually really relaxed and I'm actually really having fun. So that is great. What is difficult is when the block releases and you've got all of the very short notice promo work. So TV, radio, interviews and so forth off the back of an episode.
Yep.
That's actually probably harder than filming the show itself. So I really like the period from March through to June. It's very structured. I'm very healthy. And it's just a nice period. Traveling makes it a bit difficult. I probably don't get around the States as much as what I will in the second half of the year. But again, that's the adjustments. You know, last year there was one office. Now there's a lot of interstate and New Zealand offices. So it's just constantly rejigging and pivoting.
But as someone who's, you know, in the head office with you and privy to sort of the plans for the year, we lay it out, we catch up, you know, regularly as a group and make sure we're on track to what we're trying to achieve. Taking something like Christchurch, which of course was thought about towards the end of last year, but these things move really quickly, organically. You go over there, you find the right people, and it's go time. And often we're told as a marketing team, as a group, that we're going to do it in X amount of weeks or an X date, but things happen out of our control. We need to move now. So that's something we have to be very nimble.
Well, with real estate, it's a very cutthroat industry. And if someone says that they're leaving a business, they get walked, which means that we've got to be prepared to the best of our ability, but we've also got to be quite reactive when those people change the goalposts. we would love to have things staggered out over time. But what we've learned is that we can pivot very quickly. And we have just proven with Christchurch. I just ran the first sales meeting today. There was, I think it was 8 properties listed, 3 properties sold, and 12 properties appraised in week 1.
With no office.
With no office. It's being renovated as we speak.
Yeah.
And the 4 days that we were there, we were able to secure the vendors that we needed, secure the right auction property, secure the office, and secure the launch team. That isn't actually just 4 days though. The formation is 4 days, but that was, when you speak to the people that have joined, that was 6 years of learning, admiring, and connecting with White Fox and myself through social media. That's what a lot of people don't understand. When they stop you in the street and they say, oh, geez, you've done a lot. That's been very quick. They're not realizing that it is so much trust equity born over many, many years. And I've said this multiple times to people. It's not always the content that you can track. It's not the comments. It's not the DMs. They're very, very valuable, but it's the activity that you can't measure. And when I look at these people that are opening White Fox offices, and when you sit them down and ask truthfully, when did you first connect with the brand? What are some of the posts over the years that inspired you, that you've saved, that you've then looked back on for inspiration? A lot of them are between 5 and 7 years. And it's just that now is the right time.
It's funny, isn't it? It's true, because if you look at the leaders in the business, the Ryan Smiths, the David Murrays, even Jackson Tuttleby over there in Perth, the Kate Fairmaids, they took notice. And you're amazing at keeping track of these DMs and messages and photos and all sorts of stuff. But all of those people, to a person, have had a connection over time that has stuck with them and given them the impetus and the drive to then follow up down the track.
Almost like an unofficial coach.
Yeah.
Like, I was somehow giving these people inspiration or dialogue or experiences and examples of how to do things without even knowing that they were being adopted.
But that's the thing. You love. I know you're someone who you're driven by feedback and betterment of individuals, right? Because you love spotting talent, you love helping there. I don't believe that when you sort of were in contact with some of these people at the time, you quite realised the scale of what was going on, in the sense that, like, 5 years down the track, you're going to have a network of 13 officers, most of whom the sales directors have connected with you previously.
Yeah, I just thought if the messaging that was being put out, and a lot of people don't realise that if I put something out, it's also me getting it off my chest. So it's good for me.
Yeah.
So people look at sharing content as difficult. I look at it as an outlet, and particularly that was amplified in COVID when we were locked down for nearly 300 days or more. My Insta stories was my ability to just get shit off my chest and feel connected, and I've just carried that through, not to the same level and cadence as what it once was. You used to look at my Insta stories back in COVID. It was full on.
Yes.
Now it might be 5 or 6 a day.
Yes.
Maybe more, but I also truly believe that there could be someone watching that could be my future business partner.
You're actually the antithesis of the conversation I had yesterday with my 8-year-old son, who's talked about we're trying to get him to, you're the same with Freddie. It's about getting him to learn to tie his shoelaces, to read the time, to
Can
read.
Ed tie his shoelaces?
This is the story. So, and the whole thing was about me trying to empower him. You can do it. Oh, Dad, I can't do it. You just do it for me. I'll never be able to do it. And then one day he woke up and he did it, right? And I said to him yesterday, I said, this is a great example. He lacks a bit of confidence. And what I'm getting at with this is, I said to him yesterday in the car, I said, this is the thing. It's like, you sometimes just got to believe you can do it. Give it a go. Even if you can't, just try. And he goes, Daddy, sometimes when I get up in class, I feel like they're going to laugh at me. And I think that this whole thing about posting is about fear of judgment. Like, you don't fear that judgment, nor should you, but you still cop it.
And
right?
what's crazy is that growing up, I was the most judged and the most teased.
Exactly. But you've learned that it doesn't matter, because if you stick the course, the proof is in the pudding for yourself. And what everyone else thinks is you can't change that, right? And I think it's only become more and more in focus for you in the last couple of years, because what you've been able to create now, 13 offices and growing, and some of the things that are on the horizon are pretty wild.
Yeah.
You just got to not fear that judgment.
No, you can't. And also, you can't fear the way that you're doing it may not be right.
Yes.
And no one has grown a brand like how we are. You know, we are company owned, we partner with people, and we go into markets that we truly believe we will have an impact in.
Yes.
We're not everywhere.
No.
And we could be everywhere.
Yes.
But that doesn't inspire me.
But also, truthfully, we could be doing things, well, I don't want to say wrong, but differently than others. And they would walk in and go, oh, geez, I wouldn't do that. And that's okay.
Totally.
Because we're doing it the way that we believe is going to work for us, right? So when people...
how funny are kids, though?
Oh, yeah, I know.
I said to Freddie the other day, because he had a little girlfriend, and apparently they apparently they broke up around December. And I picked him up from school the other day, and I said to Fred, I said, how's things at school? And he goes, yeah, I'm back. I'm not going to say names. He goes, and this is a 7-year-old. And he goes, oh, I'm back with my girlfriend. I won't say her name. And I said, oh, that's great, Fred. That's amazing. I said, hey, what constitutes, a girlfriend? He goes, what do you mean? I said, well, why is she your girlfriend, not the others? Like, what do you do? And he goes, oh, we hang out. I was like, yeah, but, have you kissed her, Fred? He goes, no, Dad, that was when I was 5. I was like, oh, how funny is this? I said, no, but what do you do? Like, give me an example of why she's your girlfriend and not someone else. And he goes, well, when she lost her rubber, I gave her my rubber. And I don't give my rubber to anyone. And I just thought, this is such good dialogue.
Perfect.
It's so funny, but they just they come out with the best stuff. I'm really enjoying the growth from a 5-year-old to now seeing Freddie at 7, and you start seeing what they're really going to be like. Like I can see their true personalities as adults. If things majorly don't change, you can really get a feel for what they will be like.
Yes.
How hard they'll be, how soft they'll be, whether or not they're the class clown, whether or not they're the humble leader. Like you can really see that.
But you must have the same as me, which is that, you and I are extroverted characters. My son is not. And so you see what elements of you and your partner or Charlotte or grandparents they start to take. They're their own person, but they have elements. That's the beauty of it, is going, God, they're not like me, or geez, they're very like me, like that, stubborn in this way. So it's a beautiful journey. It's a beautiful journey. But you're right that the honesty that comes out, sometimes you have to like almost laugh to yourself. You feel bad laughing at what your child's saying, but it's hilarious.
Well, I can't wait, because my kids first appeared on the block 2 years ago when they judged the kids' rooms.
Yes, that's right.
And there's a chance that they're back this season, and seeing how they judge it differently just with a few more years. Their language has exploded, and I wonder whether or not they'll be scared with the cameras. More shy, or whether or not they're more confident. So I think hopefully it could be this weekend. It'll be a great test to see how they are.
But correct me if I'm wrong, this is the other thing that's changed massively. In the last, I want to say 8 to 10 months, you've spent a lot more time with your kids. That's been a priority for you in terms of leaving the office when you need to, being at the bigger moments.
Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I've noticed that.
So I've gotten busier, more responsibility, more pressure, over 110 staff, but yet I've spent more time with my kids than ever. And that's because I didn't want White Fox to consume me.
And miss the moments.
This is
too important.
Yeah. So I do live on my phone. So whilst I might be at home, I'm still always contactable. Like you can always get a hold of me.
Yes.
But you also get the parent guilt side. You are with the kids, but sometimes you're looking at your phone. Well, guess what? My mum very rarely saw her dad growing up, and they're best mates. So I think that we're lucky that we're in a world where you can be physically present. You might not be dialed into to the footy the whole time, but as long as it's more than what it was and you're getting better, I think that's a win.
And you've got a connection. I know you and Freddie, he's got a little phone, he's got a little watch. He can contact you when he needs to.
The Space Talk phones are the best. It's a watch phone. You program 2 or 3 different people in there, which is what we do, and they can call them. I've got it switched off between 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock. So during school, they can't do anything, but it's a great thing. You can track them. I think it's great to be able to have that communication. I love getting the phone call at 3:15. Dad, I'm at the gate. Where are you? That's pretty cool.
No, I've got to tell these people. So we're sitting in an HQ meeting, like it's quite an important meeting, all the members of HQ. Marty's phone rings. He picks it up. Hello, it's Freddie. Hey, mate. And Freddie goes, what are you doing? He goes, man, I can't talk right now. I'm in a meeting. He goes, why? It's like the
why
most
not?
dad. Why not?
Why not?
It's like the most dad answer ever. Okay, so let's go back. I mean, there's a lot to cover, but let's just quickly track last year. So we did a number of these podcasts. I want to ask you, like, we spoke with some pretty heavy hitters and some interesting guys and women in both business, property, and across the spectrum, sporting stars. What were the big takeaways for you, particularly for business people? You would have had a lot.
Coming into this podcast and with the people that I've spoken to with you and with myself, and the feedback that I've got from people is that they've just really liked that. They just felt, if they were driving or if they're on their way to work or if they were in the gym and listening to the pod, it just felt like they were sitting there. Like there was really no agenda or a list of questions. It was very free flowing. And for me, that's how I've always been. If I catch up with someone, it's always very easy conversation. It's interesting, couple curly questions because I like to, get a little bit deeper on a topic if I'm interested.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not, then I'm not. But I just think that the people that we've spoken to so far, they're just really interesting. They're not all the same, which is great. They're from different areas. I never wanted to do a real estate podcast. I think it's quite boring. But just people really interest me, and they're all people that there's some form of connection to.
Definitely.
I wouldn't go through, a list of names and go, oh, that person could be good, or that. There has to be either a personal connection through you or myself, or a business transaction. And, we've got a lot of guests lined up for this year.
Big.
And, they're all really cool, hardworking, interesting people that you actually learn things from. And these are people that, I'd see in my private life and go get a coffee with. And I'd always leave with a nugget. I'd leave with an idea or a way of thinking that would develop the way that I am. Because who you are is a combination of tips and tricks that you pick up along the way of life. Like, you don't learn everything off mum and dad.
No.
You learn everything off the people that you interact with. And the people that you're spending the most amount of time with, I think, is what really keeps you accountable to your goals and what you're wanting to achieve. But, I might just see someone once and what they say sits with me for a very long time.
I could see that with you, Chamonix being a young CEO, she's like learning her way, and you guys kind of bonded over the fact that, like, what is a CEO anyway and what do they do? Matt Rockman starting Seek and about that idea behind brand and how to create that kind of cut through where someone takes notice of something that's the same in an industry. Oscar Ledlin, one of our most listened to, if not our most listened to podcast, young hustler. A lot of Marty Fox hustle in there too, in that way of like, I'm not going to take no for an answer. You live by that.
I really do.
You said to me the other day, shoot, see, don't take a no for an answer. And you're right. Like you're you've got a lot of success out of the ability to say, no's fine, but how about this?
Well, you've seen something happen today, and today was probably my biggest moment of my career.
Yeah, we can't say what, but it is very, very big.
Very, very big. Very, very thankful. It was a culmination of years and years of putting your head down and identifying an opportunity. That opportunity not really being hot, it being a very, very distant maybe. And I followed it up, and it was a pretty soft no. And because it was a soft no, I thought, actually, I can push a little bit more and push a little bit more. And essentially was given the opportunity to do something today that I had a tear after it. And there's a photo which I'll show you. And yeah, it's just crazy that everything good in life, everything that you really, really want, actually is probably always faced initially with a no. Which means that anything that's too easy really should be questioned as to whether or not it's good for you or not.
That's a good way of looking at it. And I can't wait to announce it as well, because that's something we'll actually dive massively into.
Massively.
The other part of last year was just, we talked about significant growth in offices, but in terms of opportunities as well, let's just quickly go through 2024, the sort of things that happened. I mean, opening Gold Coast and Brisbane was one thing, but what was behind it was massive for the brand. That was the collaboration between yourself and Rob Gray, and what that's brought in terms of the kind of, the acumen of his development and building
I think
company, and just the credibility.
I think the credibility of, there was always such an appreciation between Rob's business and White Fox, and behind the scenes, we really loved what each other was able to accomplish in our fields, in development and in real estate. We really felt that for our ages, for our way of thinking, we were doing as best as we could. We were really going for it, and we were cheering each other on massively from the sidelines. And then when the opportunity came up to expand the brand, our systems, our processes, our HQ, our vision, and all of those were really clear, that's when that opportunity really started taking shape in my mind. And I actually flew up to Brisbane with Charlotte, and we pitched the idea of White Fox being something that Rob could be involved in for Queensland, for Brisbane and the Gold Coast, and to have more visibility in the sale of the assets that Greyer was building and representing, and also Greyer's personal networks. If it's good enough for Greyer, then it should be good enough for you. And we are a very, very good outfit. And the key was that Rob had identified Phil Rand as the perfect leader of the brand in Brisbane, and I had identified Nick Whitehead as the perfect leader for the brand in the Gold Coast. And us four sat down and spoke, and just the mindset, the respect, the intensity, the marketing understanding that we all shared, and the different personalities, it all really clicked. We're all pretty different, but we've got a very similar way of doing business. If we say something's going to happen, we do it, and everyone gets treated equally. And I think that's just hard to find in business. And when you find it, you hold it, you nurture it, and you grow it. And that's what we're doing with White Fox in Queensland.
And truthfully, I think I can say this, the plan for how we were going to roll out Brisbane didn't go exactly as we planned. Things happened as they always do.
That's why it's really hard to plan everything.
Yeah.
And you look at the Brisbane launch versus the Christchurch launch, one that's incredibly planned and one that is just like bootstrapped. Here we go. Let's film behind the scenes. Let's launch this without even an office, which we've never done. Office is being renovated. And you see two very successful launches. It's all based on people. This is a people game. If the people love the brand and the brand loves the people, then I call it's magic. You do business. You do business.
And because part of the strategy wasn't just about Rob, and it was being in, because people have asked you for years, when Sydney? It's like, yeah, we get it. Sydney's a great market. But there was a lot of strategy behind Queensland. And it's been proven by the sales that we've been able to achieve up there of luxury assets, is that it's a great market. Yes, it's going to come in and out, but like right now,
Queensland's achieving numbers that took Melbourne probably 6 years to achieve.
Yeah.
And that is because of the IP that we've got, the support that we've got, the level of operator that we've got. And I think when you get two, heavyweights within an industry and you bring them together and they've got the same outlook on what the end goal is, then you have these moments of success. And I think it's a really proud moment that, we've been able to integrate somebody from another sector within the property market and they're loving the journey with us. Like I really am proud that Rob enjoys seeing this side of the fence. It's very cool to see. And us having that ability to look behind the scenes of the development world. I spent a couple of days up north with him looking at some of their sites, understanding, how they're structured, the financing behind it. It's really interesting, and no one does it like Rob and his brother. No one.
Because at the moment with Eid and Byron Bay, I mean, that's very unique. It's the first time waterfront property's been developed like that.
I think the key thing with Queensland was that we actually established a national projects division, which is being led by Phil and Jess and their team. And they've been in Melbourne quite a lot recently. And the White Fox project team, with our ability to market and build content, is a game changer. We will be a very, very formidable projects team nationally, focusing on particular levels of stock in Queensland, in Melbourne, in Adelaide, in WA, and seeing what they're able to do and how we can apply that to different states, but with the same team, is going to be something that this country hasn't seen. And luxury developers like Rob, I'm not going to name other names because it will give away who we're doing a lot of work with, but these developers will be getting a level of intensity and professionalism and marketing clout and PR through me that they really can't get from anyone else, because we are the only national boutique luxury brand, but also projects team in the game.
That's something you can't. I mean, you can't
click your fingers.
Yeah, you can't click your fingers, but you can't understate the power of. And we often talk about this when we pitch to brands and other other entities, that the cross pollination of reach is what is intangible, right? You've created your own brand in yourself, Marty Fox, and through the block and all the things that you've done, and WHITEFOX, obviously, but it creates this level of outreach that surpasses most.
And majority of it is organic. We look at a project which we're about to launch up north. We have over 100 million in reservations taken. We haven't even gone live yet. We haven't spent $1 on social media. Yet we've released quite a bit of content. And the value in those leads, which have converted to reservations, and again, when the contracts are ready in the next 2-3 weeks, hopefully translates into a sellout. And that could be one of the biggest sellouts that has been done organically through social media in the history of the game. And that'll be a greater product, and it'll be delivered by WHITEFOX. And I think that will be one of the best case studies of brand, of communication and strategy.
Because there's a lot of brands that they're spending a lot of money on stuff that doesn't hit. And you're going, where are you putting your dollars? Where's the mindset on, trying to find the audience where they are? And, the organic growth of social media, I mean, it's a game changer for us, because we know that we can do it. We know that we've got that many case studies of pieces of content that have organically gotten hundreds of thousands of views.
Literally hundreds of thousands, but it has to be good.
Yeah.
You have to have, your messaging has to make sense. It's got to be easy to absorb, and it's got to hit more than, just a high click rate chord. It has to mean something. Same with the developments that you put out. If it's good product, it will sell. It's very hard to sell something that's shit.
Yes.
It really is.
The render to reality. We have that talk a lot with developers, and a lot of them don't get it right.
What else, Shu? Throw me some curly ones.
Give me some curly ones.
So
you give you some curly ones. So as natural in real estate, staff, people, changes, there's always that as well. The journey's never linear, as you know. It's up, it's down, it's in and out, it's retraction, and it's contraction.
People coming in and out of the business. So it's the whole kit and caboodle here.
Have you gotten so used to it now, though, that you're like
desensitized?
Because you create personal relationships with a lot. You, in particular, as a leader, meet with everyone. You recruit everyone. You're part of that process. So when someone turns around and goes, "I'm out," I know some of them it's personally hurting. How have you learned to deal with that?
I think over time, you really have to. And my heart is always on my sleeve, but you learn to pull back. You learn to not let people in to the inner sanctum until it's genuinely earned. You now really have to earn the ability to come into my home and sit on the couch and sit at the table where my kids eat. And I think that is born out of years of probably being let down, wasting time that I can't get back. People.
You've done a lot of flights to places that have become fruitless in the end.
Totally. But that's because also, to hit the shots that matter, you've got to miss a lot when people aren't watching. And I've missed a lot. I've been rejected a lot. I've been told no. I've been not believed.
We've been wrong in people. We've seen people we thought were going to be good who weren't. And
running business is hard. Running business is personal. It's one of those things that you try and do your best, and as long as you do your best, you've got no regrets. It's one of those things, and I've got to constantly adapt. The business is growing to a point where other people need to step up. Some people are stepping up, some people don't, but the ones that do are the ones that benefit from the growth. The growth, what I love is that people aren't feeling consumed in the growth because we're not growing the offices to a point where they're getting too big. We're growing our location. So it's growth in location, which trickles to numbers, but it's not growth in numbers. We're not a business that has 50 people sitting in an office. We're a business that has 6 to 8 people sitting in an office, but across multiple locations. And a really easy way to sort of give you a great analogy would kind of be like a Sotheby's, which is a global brand, a franchise brand, but they don't have massive offices. We're different, but company owned. And I think that by being company owned, it means that we are able to look after the things that the consumer sees within those offices. Because if you do have a franchise, it's your responsibility to find the creatives. It's your responsibility to put into the market what the consumer sees. Whereas for us, it's our responsibility. Our agents need to be great negotiators. They need to be great listers, great sellers, great marketers. But they're not all running businesses, running HQs, securing talent, finding PR opportunities, calling big auctions. You know, these are things that people grow into. And I love the fact that we back tried and tested people, but we also back people that haven't been given a chance. You know, you look at what's happening down in Adelaide. You know, we took a chance on Millie. Millie took a chance on us. And you look at, you know, we're nearly 12 months old and we're starting to hit the straps now. Opposite to Brisbane and Gold Coast, tried and tested people. They weren't in great equity positions before White Fox. They now are, and they got the runs on the board day dot. Some locations and some people just take a little bit more time, kind of like kids. Some kids will just be guns at school or guns at sport, and some develop. Like, business is no different, but you just need to stick. We haven't been a brand that's ever retreated. If we've landed on going somewhere and doing something with someone, we stick fat. We really stick fat because we're optimists and we're believers that the good will come and the good will follow the work. If the hard work is done, the rewards and the fruits of that labor will be there.
Let's finish off with some rapid fires.
Love a bit of rapid fire.
Just hit you with a rapid fire. All right. So highlight of 2024.
Highlight of 2024 would have been in the reflection. I think reflecting on what had occurred. I remember writing a list of goals specific for that year. And it was one of those years where every single thing that I put down was done. Everything. The entire year was prophesized. Even though it was a big year, I wrote them all down in January, and in December, upon reflection, being up in Queensland with my family, they all got ticked. So that was my highlight in, I fucking did it.
If you could open an office tomorrow in anywhere, where would it be?
Saint-Tropez.
Yes, that was ready to go. Who's the face in the office right now to watch? Who's the one you go, that person's going to be something really special?
Give me a region, I'll tell you the name.
We'll start in Melbourne.
Dylan Francis.
I thought you were going to say Imogen Stokes. Dylan Francis. Your expectations are, I mean, we had him on the pod and he's an impressive man.
He's already impressive, but I think what he's capable of doing is psychotic. If you're going to talk about young talent, it's Imogen Stokes by a mile. I mean, this is a girl who in her year 12 sign-off said that I want to be a director of White Fox Real Estate before I even knew who she was. I mean, that is going to happen.
She's run a couple of businesses outside of here as well. I
love her.
Yeah. She's a good talent.
Special human.
Where can you see yourself in 10 years?
I couldn't tell you. I worked a 5-year goals.
So I've gone too far ahead.
You've gone too far ahead.
Well, where are we in 5?
In 5 years, I know exactly where we are. I know exactly what this business and its JV partners will be sitting at financially. I know where we'll be. I think there'll be 30 offices across Australia, 15 across New Zealand. There'll be 2 in Asia. There'll be 3 in Europe, and there'll be the formation of talks for a US expansion. Don't
like to think small, do you?
Freddie will be starting high school.
Yeah.
What I'm really excited for is seeing Charlotte in the business after spending 9 years of raising kids and keeping us all together. She'll be joining us in HQ as of next year. That's going to be fun.
Properly in.
Proper in.
Because when she's in, she's she adds a lot.
She's just very, very smart and very quiet, which is a very dangerous combination.
And also a counterbalance to you, which is always a good thing. You need that.
It's the best. I like these rapids. Give me more. Hey, the 5-year thing though, that's going to be interesting to watch back.
Yeah, you can listen back. It's the proof's in the pudding. It's right here.
2030.
Dream big. Who's sitting in this? Who would you have? Anyone who's sitting right there doing the podcast with you?
Here.
Yep. Dream guest.
Probably Charlotte. That'd be funny.
Dream guest.
Yeah,
anyone
right
in the
now
world.
it came to my head. I think that would be very interesting.
I mean, you've got some big ones coming up this year, some international.
I think you and Charlotte talking about what it's like seeing it from behind the scenes for 8 years would be very interesting for people.
Yep. Favorite flip you've ever done and why?
Favorite flip was probably Middle Park. It was a house that as a kid I looked at and said, I want to buy that one day. And it just happened to be the same house that Charlotte said. Crazy. Crazy that we both identified the same house without knowing each other. Bought it in the middle of COVID, snuck in, broke the law, and paid 4.5. Gave it a renovation, spent about $360 on it. Took it to market, couldn't sell. Everyone laughed at us for asking what we were asking. And then the day that we called Shaney, Fox and Pete Service to take it off the market, we were driving down Dandenong Road. They said, we've got a buyer. And I just said, what do you mean? Like, just take it off. We're going to stay there. We're going to renovate again and add another level. Pete said, mate, it's going to be sold tonight. And he sold it for 7.35. So it was a huge financial win. It was also this first year that I had decided to get off the tools to become a CEO, which was a huge loss of income.
Mm-hmm.
And the money made off that one property pretty much kept me afloat privately for 2 years whilst I navigated the change of selling principal and managing director into what I'm doing now.
Last Instagram message you sent?
The last Instagram message I've sent.
This would be good.
Shit. Oh, shit.
This would be good.
Oh,
could be anything.
Let's have a look.
Let's have a look.
Oh my God.
What is it?
It was to Jesse Jones.
We can't say exactly what
You can't actually read it.
You can't.
Oh, is that the funniest?
That's what I knew.
That's going to be the
I
funniest.
knew that's because there's moments in the day when you're when you're
I hate this
something
so much.
It's a person.
I can't even say the word.
Yeah, it's a person. You obviously don't like this person.
No, I actually don't like that person.
You've said
Oh, that's so funny.
Because you know what I see sometimes in the down moments, you're like that. You little scroll, you have a play, and like we'll get messages and whatnot. I knew that'd be funny.
That's so good.
Oh mate, it's always good. We can chat forever. But like realistically, big 2024, 2025 is like consolidation, a bit more growth. Because people will ask you, they'll be like, "Where's?" Like I'm sure they're like, "Why Christchurch? What's next?" I think we can say this year will be a lot about consolidation. There's obviously some growth coming.
Yeah,
as well.
look, we've just secured a second office in WA, which is really exciting. There'll probably be another 2 or 3 around Australia, maybe another 1 or 2 in New Zealand. But if we did 7 offices last year, I'd say this year's probably maybe 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2026 is going to go bang.
Yep. Watch this space.
Yeah.
But there's a lot coming on this podcast. In particular, if you're a fan of it, keep listening. There's some great guests coming, as Marty alluded to. We've got some big names coming on in the middle of the year. Probably the biggest we've ever had.
Over in New York with Ryan Serhant. It's going to be very exciting. And
possibility of some other big names. We're hunting down some names. But either way, it's great to get into it and a lot going on, mate. So thanks for sharing another WHITEFOX with us.
Good to see you.
Thanks, guys.